DreAllDay.com.
Tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve as a result of your discipline and confidence is yet to occur. You're questioning the whole setup. And on top of all this, we got to put all this energy into action. Having it is one thing, doing something with it is another. So you need the personal initiative, go-getter energy that moves me, you, anyone out there to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all of this together for you into one bundle, one package, one philosophy, one method, one framework. There's a book on the subject and you're listening to the masterclass right now. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic, guess what the topic is? Show up. That's the topic. Now, the first element of the Work on Your Game philosophy is the discipline to show up every single day and do the work. Well, let's talk about showing up. We got to make sure we are addressing it. We can't just be saying it. We got to actually address it to make sure that it's been covered. So if somebody says, well, Dre, I get it, but what does it mean to show up? How do I show up every day? We're going to talk about that today. And specifically, we're talking about the power of being in the room. When I say showing up, the power of being in the room. What room? We're going to talk about that. Masterclass number 1139, where I told you that it takes more than hard work to be successful. And I got a whole masterclass, a deeper masterclass, video version masterclass coming very soon. Even more on that topic coming soon. Might be available by the time you hear this, but we'll see. We got some work that we got to do. But in that masterclass number 1139, I told you it takes more than hard work to make success in life. And I told you that both luck and timing are important aspects of success that cannot be just logically, rationally engineered. You cannot just engineer being lucky, and you cannot engineer timing working in your favor. However, you can put yourself in the path of both of those working in your favor and give yourself more chances of having either or both work in your favor by making sure you're in the right places. Now, one of the places that is not one of the right places is a place we call nowhere, or a place we call at home, sitting on your couch or laying in your bed, or isolated in your little tower, your ivory tower or your shell, not out there interacting with other people. That's a place that you don't want to be, okay? So there's a lot of places that you do want to be. I'm telling you one of the places you don't want to be, which is nowhere. Not connected to anybody, not knowing anyone, not being seen, not seeing or being seen, not interacting, not getting your work out there, not getting your name out there, not having anybody know who the hell you are. That's one of the places that you don't want to be. All right, now that we've established that, we're still in the introduction here. Now we're going to get into the points. I'm going to explain to you the power of being in the room. You're going to understand what I mean when I say being in the room, and understand how you can bring yourself to show up more often in your life. Point number one, the topic once again, showing up, the power of being in the room. Number one, don't always expect immediate results. Now wait, what does this have to do with showing up and the power of being in the room? Well, I'm gonna tell you, because this is a simple, but it's not an easy discipline. See, when I tell people that, hey, you need to show up, be consistent, be where you're supposed to be, be where things are happening, be where the people who are doing stuff are at, or the people who are better than you, or the people who are just as good as you, or the people who could compliment you, or the people who could possibly help you, just be where those people are. Most people understand that. I mean, inherently you understand that because you're a logical, reasonable, intelligent person. But here's the challenge. When people listen to that and they hear they should show up and be in certain places and this and that, they get it. And then they say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then they start doing it. They start showing up, being in the places, going to where people are, doing the stuff that they think they should be doing, or at least what's been prescribed to them to do. And here's the problem that people run into. They do not get immediate results. The results of them showing up, which might cost them time because they have to actually go to the place that they show up at. Might cost them some money because they might have to pay to be in those places. It might cost them some energy because you got to physically move yourself to that place. Maybe they feel a little bit less than because they're not getting, maybe they don't have the same results as other people, or other people are better than them, or maybe they're just not getting any attention. Whatever it's costing you, it's going to take some investment to show up to places on a consistent basis, right? Here's the thing. People start showing up, but then they see that maybe they're not getting the results that they expected to get, or they're not getting those results as quickly as they expected to get them. So then what they say is, I'm not showing up anymore. I'm not gonna do this. Any of you who sells online courses, if there's anybody who is listening to this who sells courses on the internet, or maybe some of you who have taken courses on the internet, a lot of times people will sign up for your course, pay for it, And then they don't even take the whole course. They don't even make it through the whole 8 modules of your course or 15 modules or however long it takes to get through all the material. They don't even work through all of the material that they paid to get access for. Why is that? Not necessarily because they're not getting a result. Sometimes it could be because they're not getting a result. The main reason is just human attrition. This is just what human beings do. It's easy to have a whole lot of energy at the start of something. It's not easy to keep that energy and maintain that same energy all the way throughout finishing the thing that you started. Most people do not finish the things that they start. Most people do not complete the things that they begin. I told you in masterclass number 1266, the topic was how to finish everything you start. In masterclass 1044, how to finish the marathon strong. Masterclass number 926, how to finish stronger than you started. So we talked about completing things more than one time here on this show. And I have talked about completing, well, let's just keep it at that before I want to give you too many things to remember that. Go refer yourself to those 3 masterclasses about finishing the things that you start. But the reason why this is the first point on this topic when it comes to showing up, the power of being in the room, is that people show up and they're in the room, but they're not getting immediate results. So then they think, well, I guess showing up isn't going to work for me. Yeah, I know it worked for you and it worked for them and it worked for these people over here who said they showed up and followed it. But look, I've been showing up for 3 months. I've been showing up for 3 weeks. I've been showing up for a year and I haven't really gotten results. So you know what? I'm gonna just stop showing up. Usually people don't announce it. They just stop showing up. You just don't hear from them anymore. You know what happened to them? They fall at the face of the earth. And in some businesses, they say the birds got to them, right? The birds ate the seed before it could grow into a tree. And as Jim Rohn used to say, why did they stop showing up? I wouldn't sign up for that class. Well, guess what? You're in this class, and I'm gonna tell you why people don't show up. Because they're not getting immediate results. Now, every now and then, a basketball player will reach out to me and say something like, it happens less frequently now than it did when I was posting basketball videos every day. But basketball players would always say things to me like, Dre, well, look, I've been working on my game every day for the last, and then you fill in some time period. 3 weeks, 6 months, 2 years, and then they might go into some detail about how they work on their game or how much time they're spending at the court every single day. And they're not getting any better, they're not getting any results, or they tried out for the team and they didn't get the outcome that they wanted, they didn't make the roster, and they're asking me, well, they're asking me some form of either, should I keep practicing and keep trying, should I give up basketball, or they'll find a reason to keep going, is there something wrong with the way that I'm training, or why am I not getting results, can you help me understand why I'm not getting the outcomes that I want? And often the main answer I would give to most of the players who would ask me that question, they would say something like, well, I've been working on my game for it, and they would give some period of time. Usually it was less than 1 year that they were working on their game. And they say, well, I did all this work in all this period of time, and I'm not getting the results that I want. What is the problem? Or what do I need to fix? Or what's going on? And I would say to them, well, you only been working on your game for 6 months. What do you expect? You think you practice for 6 months and all of a sudden you're gonna be the best basketball player in the world? All of a sudden you're gonna be good? It's not the way that it works. You're not owed to be good at anything just because you put in a certain amount of time. Oh, you thought that? And I'm talking about you listening to this today, not the basketball player. You thought that because you put in a certain amount of work for a certain amount of time, that means you are entitled to actually be good at what you're doing? Wrong. Somebody gave you some bad information. But the good thing is you'll listen to the Work on Your Game masterclass, and I'm gonna give you the right information. We're gonna get the bad information out of your head and put the right information in there. The bad information is that just because you show up a certain amount of time, that means you're going to get a result. That's not the way it works anymore in life, people. Anywhere in life where you get rewarded just based on the amount of time you put in, all those are going away. All those places are going away. So if you're listening to this right now, you have an hourly job where you get paid by the hour, meaning if you put in 2 hours, you get 2 hours times your hourly rate, and that's the way you get paid, that's the way your pay is measured. All right, that will go away. That's not going to exist. By the time you die, let's say next 40, 50, 70, 80 years, that will not exist anymore. People will not be getting paid for their time anymore. You will get paid for your production, not by your time. Just because you practice every day for 6 months does not mean you're gonna be any better at what you're doing, because how do we know what you're doing in that practice for 6 months? You might be doing a whole bunch of bullshit because you have no idea what you're doing. You might have a trainer who has no idea what they're doing, so they're instructing you to do stuff that's not gonna help you get better. So of course you didn't get better. Just because you put the time in does not mean you're guaranteed a result. You gotta actually be good when you're putting the time in. You know how they say 10,000 hours to become proficient, become excellent at what you do? The 10,000 hour rule is 10,000 hours of dedicated practice, intentional practice. You got to be intentional in your practice for 10,000 hours, not just going on the court and doing any random thing for 10,000 hours. That doesn't necessarily make you good. Many people don't keep showing up because they're not getting the immediate results, or they think they're supposed to get a certain result after a certain amount of time, and they might not even know what the hell they're doing, so they really haven't put in any intentional time, but they think they put in 1,000 hours at a 10,000. No, you put in 0 because you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't have the right instruction. You didn't have the right information. You were acting on bad information, so you've done nothing. All you did was waste time. So you wasted some of your life because you acted without having all the tools. How many people listening to me right now are really good at something, but when you started doing it, you were not that good? Maybe you were only mediocre. Maybe you were bad at it when you first started, but you kept showing up. You had the right instruction, or at least you found the right instruction, and you kept getting better. I'm sure there's someone listening to this right now who's really good at something now that they weren't that good when they started. And you may see years later, months later, who knows how long later, you're still in the game doing that thing, and you may run into somebody who started at the same time as you, but they quit. They left the game because showing up just wasn't producing results for them as quickly as they thought they would, or they didn't have the patience, they didn't have the discipline, they didn't have the grind, they didn't have the hustle. They gave up on it, and now they see you and they congratulate you. They say, you know what, you stuck with it. You kept going. You kept working. Congratulations on doing that, because they didn't do it. And they probably don't tell you this, but the reason they didn't do it, they had the mental toughness to keep going. Or maybe either they didn't have the mental toughness, or they just didn't have the talent. Maybe they just didn't have the same raw tools that you had. Maybe their tools are better than yours and they just weren't mentally tough enough. Or maybe they weren't disciplined enough. In the basketball world, I know plenty of players who had more raw ability than me, more talent than me, but they didn't have my discipline. They didn't have my mental toughness. They didn't have my hustle, and they didn't understand the game. They didn't understand the hustle that they were in. A lot of athletes that I know who were very talented basketball players lost their basketball opportunity, not because they couldn't play basketball, because they couldn't do anything else. Like go to class, like stay out of trouble in the streets, like stay out of trouble dealing with females. Not because they couldn't play basketball, they blew it in some other way. But you gotta understand, all of those elements are part of the package that creates success. If you're a great basketball player growing up in the United States, you had to not only be good at basketball, you need to be good at going to school, you need to be good at choosing the right friends, you need to be good at not getting yourself in any domestic disputes, you need to be good at not doing anything dumb in the streets, you need to be good at all of those things in addition to being good at basketball. Because if you do anything dumb in the streets, or hanging around the wrong people, getting any kind of domestic dispute, or mess up in class, all of those could derail your ability to get on the basketball court and play basketball. Isn't this true? Any athletes, coaches we got listening to this right now, is this true? Of course it's true. So just because you are good at one thing doesn't mean everything's going to come together, because you got to handle all of those things. And I talked about this in masterclass number 1314, 1314. Hustle is learning to play the game of life. There is a whole game that you got to play. It's not just the part that you like. There's some parts that you may not be so fond of, but if you don't learn how to play that game, that part of the game that you hated is going to be the part that brings you down. Don't be stupid. Get the right information. Difference between dumb and stupid, or difference between ignorant and stupid. Ignorant means you don't know. Stupid means you know, but you did something dumb anyway. All right, now I'm giving you the information, so if you go against this information, that makes you stupid. You understand? And I did a whole master class on that too. Let me tell you what number class that was. That was number 1125. Ignorance versus stupidity. Know the difference. Again, that's master class number 1125. So when you see people who started with you, going back to my point here, we're still on point number 1, not expecting immediate results. When you see people who started with you who didn't keep going because they weren't mentally tough enough, or not disciplined enough, or they didn't understand the game, they didn't understand the hustle, or they just didn't have the talent that you had, they didn't have the raw materials that you had, and they probably shouldn't have been there anyway, so it was a good decision for them to leave. Whatever reason, they're going to congratulate you because you kept showing up. But you got to actually make it through to the point that other people can leave, you can get a whole lot better, and they can come back and see you before that happens. And it might take some time. It's going to be an investment of time. Are you willing to do that? I can't answer that, and you can't answer it either. You can only answer with your action. Don't answer with your words. All right, don't talk me to death, and don't talk yourself to death about what you're going to do. Just do it. Let your actions speak for you. Kanye West, we all know Kanye, right? He wasn't taken seriously as a rapper at first, but what did he do? He kept showing up. And by showing up, I don't mean he kept coming to a concert and saying, hey, Jay-Z, listen to me rap. I don't mean by that way. What I mean when I say he kept showing up is that he kept going to the studio and recording new music and producing new songs and coming up with new beats for himself to rap over. And he kept putting his music out and he kept getting better over time. Even when people were ignoring him, even when people were saying, man, why don't you just stick to being a producer? You're pretty good at it. Even when people were laughing at him and saying, I'm not listening to this producer rapper. I'm not listening to this dude with a Louis Vuitton backpack and a pink polo. Nobody's listening to this guy. Even when people were saying that, he kept showing up, and we see what happened to Kanye, do we not? I think we can say he became pretty good. He became pretty influential, even with his rapping, even though he had a whole lot of other things going on. Excuse me. Moving on to point number 2, today's topic. Show up, the power of being in the room. Number 2, get comfortable with what some may call monotony. What is monotony? It's doing the same things over and over again, even when you don't quite feel like doing those things, even when things get boring, even when it's not exciting anymore. Can you deal with the monotony? Everybody can't deal with the monotony. Can you, though, is the question. Monotony means repeating the same tasks over and over again, following the same processes. It is boring. Monotony is boring. That's the reason it's called monotony. If you cannot handle the boredom of monotony in what you have chosen to be in, you are not prepared to be great. If the monotony is something that you can't handle putting that time in, you can't handle doing the same things over and over again and following the same processes over and over again, then you can't be great. You can maybe become good if you're really talented. You can definitely become mediocre, and you can definitely be bad, but you can never be great if you're not willing to deal with monotony. In Robert Greene and 50 Cent's book, The 50th Law, Chapter 8, the topic is respecting the process, understanding that being bored and doing the same things over and over again, even when they're not that exciting, all right, that's just part of the job. All right, there's no hack or trick to make it exciting when it's the same thing for the 367th time. All right, there's no trick to make you feel like it's exciting when it's not exciting. You just got to do it anyway. That's just the game. In my book, Work on Your Game, using the pro athlete mindset to dominate your game in business, sports, and life. Do you know how many times we edited, between me and the publisher and the editors, how many times we edited and re-edited the same material and the same chapters and the same anecdotes and the same stories over and over and over again? You don't know, and you don't want to know, because by the time that book came out, I was sick of looking at it. I was sick of looking at the material. I was sick of reading the same stories. I was sick of re-editing the same parts. I was sick of looking at that book, but that's exactly why it became a great book. Because we put the time in to continue editing and making it better and making sure that it was right and making sure that it flowed properly and making sure that everything went where it was supposed to go. That's the exact reason Work on Your Game became the great book that it's become. And if you've read the book, you will probably agree. If you haven't read the book, then I just told you what it is. Go get it at workonyourgamebook.com. When you are aiming to be great, when you're showing up consistently, you're in the room all the time. When I'm using in the room, if people didn't catch this as a metaphor of being in the place where things are happening, wherever that is, whether that's on your computer, whether it's on your Facebook page, whether it's at an office building, whether it's at a conference, whether it's in the gym, wherever that is, and you're showing up consistently, you will be doing the same things over and over and over again. And I want you to understand that there is no hack and there is no insider secret to make it exciting when you're doing the same thing for the 27th time in a row. There's no secret to that. It's just the job. That is the game that you signed up for. That's the job. You need to know this up front. So when it happens, you're not looking around like, man, nobody told me that it was going to be this boring. Nobody told me it was going to be monotonous. Nobody told me I was going to be doing the same stuff over and over again. I'm telling you. And if you can hear my voice right now, now you know. All right, this is enough warning. In the professional world, people will tell you things one time, not 30, one time. And if you forget, that's your business. All right, ignorance is no excuse in the professional world. Point number 3. Today's topic, show up, the power of being in the room. Number 3, you can't get lucky when you're not around where the luck is happening. You want to be lucky, you got to be to where the luck is occurring. Now, where does luck occur? Usually it occurs when you're outside, metaphorically speaking. Masterclass number 854, a key luck strategy. Be outside often. That's the name of the topic, number 854. Here's the thing about being outside. What I mean when I say be outside, it means wherever things are happening, wherever people are making stuff occur, wherever people who are better than you, who are doing different from you, people who might be able to help you, people who know things that you don't know, wherever those people are at, outside is that place. You need to be there outside. Usually, the reason I call it outside is because usually it's not happening in your living room. Usually it's not happening in your text messages. Usually it's not in the place that you may be so comfortable in is usually not happening within your comfort zone, because if it was in your comfort zone, you would be one of those people. So being outside means stepping outside of where you're comfortable, where you're normally at, and going to those places, because that's where things are happening, and that's where things can happen for you when you show up there consistently. If you want to be in the mix, you got to go to where the mix is happening. You can't sit at home and wonder why you're not in the mix. You can't never go to the events and wonder why everybody else is at the event and you're not at the event. It makes no sense. You got to go to where it's happening. Or you can become the event. You can become the person that everybody else wants to be around. But in order to do that, you're going to have to get some knowledge, some information, some experience, some skills that you don't have right now. And you're probably not going to be able to acquire them all just sitting by yourself doing nothing. You might need to interact with some other people. You'll get there a whole lot faster, where you'll have some time to actually make use of it. Either way, out of sight equals out of mind. You heard that before, right? If people don't see you, people don't feel your presence, if you're not around, then why would you expect anybody to remember you or think of you when they have an opportunity? Are they going to think of you? No, because you ain't been around. Wherever things are happening in your world, make it your business to be where those things are happening. That's it. Simple as that. Even if you don't know anyone in the place where things are happening, even if you know no one, even if everybody who has accomplished a lot more than you, even if you've accomplished nothing noteworthy, so someone asks you what you've done, you ain't really got much to say. Even if you think everybody who's there is 10 levels above you, show up anyway. And actually, those are the times you should show up the most, because you have the most to learn. You have the biggest room for potential. You have the biggest growth potential of anybody in the room if everybody's 10 levels above you. You are the luckiest person in there. Because look at the difference between everybody else in the room and you. Like, you're going to soak up game from all those people. All right, they can't maybe not learn too much from you, but they're still happy to have you around, because maybe they want to mentor somebody who's actually going to take their information and implement it, as opposed to just masturbating on it like most people do. So even if you don't know anyone, show up anyway. Everybody's better than you? Good. Show up anyway. You don't have any accomplishments? Good. Show up anyway, because everybody with accomplishments is going to tell you how they did it, and you're going to go home with so many ideas of how to make this thing happen. Like, you won't know what to do with them. That's great. That's a good problem. Let's recap today's class, which is showing up, the power of being in the room. I told you in masterclass 1139, when I told you it takes more than hard work to succeed. Luck and timing are two important aspects outside of hard work that you need for success. But though you can't just manufacture luck or manufacture timing, but you can put yourself in the line of fire, so to speak, for luck and timing by following what I'm telling you here today. Being where things are happening, not being at home, not being by yourself, not isolating yourself, being where it's happening. Number one, don't always expect immediate results. It's a simple but not easy discipline, because many people don't want to keep showing up when they don't get immediate results, because they think, oh, I heard somebody say I got to show up. All right, I'm going to show up. But then things don't happen, and then they quit. Well, Kanye West, he kept showing up even when people didn't take him seriously in what he was doing as a rapper. But eventually, as he kept showing up, eventually he created his own opportunity, and the rest became history. You could do the same thing yourself, but you got to be disciplined enough and mentally tough enough to keep showing up, even though the results may be not as quick as you think they should be. Point number two, get comfortable with what some people call monotony. Doing the same tasks over and over again, following the same processes, just having a boring experience. This is part of the game. If you can't handle the boredom or monotony, you are not prepared to be great. In my book, Work on Your Game, we went back and forth with the editor over and over and over again before we got it done. And I was sick of looking at the book by the time we finished the editing process. But the reason the book became as great as it is, you who have read it, is because of the time that we spent going through the monotony of edit and re-edit and send it back and fix this and back and forth and Google Docs and Word Docs, because we went through the monotony of editing that book. And if you don't have it, then I suggest you go to workonyourgamebook.com and read it, because it will help change your life and show you the whole framework that I created to change mine. Point number three, you can't get lucky when you're not around when luck is happening. So you got to be outside. I told you about this in masterclass number 854. A luck strategy is to be outside often. If you want to be in the mix, you got to go to where the mix is occurring, or you can become the mix. Either way, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Wherever things are happening in your world, make it your business to be in that place. Even if you don't know anybody, even if you haven't accomplished anything, even if you think everybody is 10 levels above you, you should show up anyway. That's the time when you definitely should be there, even more so than when you're doing great. Work on your game. Dre all day.